Window World is proud to present Kevin Keatsman Has Issues. Simply the best for less at windowskansascity.com.
If you've listened to the podcast for any period of time, you know that over the last couple of years, I have spent some time talking about my high school, Shawnee Mission North, and the bizarre things that they are doing at my high school in the name of wokeism or liberalism or whatever you want to call it, changing the name away from Shawnee Mission North Indians and going with bison, which I think is pretty much as racist as Indian because we slaughtered all the bison, which killed all the Indians, and it just, they don't know what they're doing. They're trying to follow the liberal woke playbook at my high school and throughout the district of the Shawnee Mission School District, and it bothers me. It bothers me a great deal. There's not much I can do about it, but we have great news. We've got people on the inside that know what's going on and are unafraid, and this is incredibly courageous from a teacher at my high school who has been there for 15 years teaching advanced placement English. Her name is, I'm not sure about the first name. It's Caedran. It could be Cadron. It could be Cadron. I'm going to go with Cedron Sullivan. And Ms. Sullivan has written an op-ed piece at a website, publication's called The Lion, but their website is readlion.com, R-E-A-D, readlion.com. And she has just dropped we hear this all the time. We hear this bombshell report about Hunter Biden, this bombshell trade, bombshell news, Aaron Rodgers is with the New York Jets. We hear it all the time. You want to talk about a bombshell? You won't believe how this is reverberating throughout the school district offices in the Shawnee Mission School District here in Kansas City. This is a complete and utter takedown of the system and shining of the light, exposing everything going on the inside for parents of children in the Shawnee Mission School District. This needs as much traction and as much publicity as possible. I found it when reading news at foxnews.com. So it has gone national. It's hitting websites everywhere. And I have reached out to Ms. Sullivan, and I'm going to try to get her on the podcast because this is amazing. You know that I love doing long-form broadcasting, and I don't like reading things on this podcast, but this is the incredible exception. So I'm going to spend a little time reading some of the paragraphs from this piece that she has written, which is absolutely eye-opening and a bombshell for anyone who has a student in the Shawnee Mission School District, or forget that. If you think your district is safe, you need to know what's going on here at Shawnee Mission. Now, I don't know if she's going to be reprimanded. I don't think they can touch her. She's in a teachers union. Free speech can't be shackled. She has every right to write this piece, and she has every right to question the people running the district and the way this is working in Shawnee Mission. So here goes. Ms. Sullivan writes, as an English teacher employed in the Shawnee Mission District for 15 years, I can no longer stay silent about the state of our schools. I will be attacked and threatened, but for the good of our district and the students with whom we are entrusted, I must speak out. This is too important. Stop. She has been attacked. She's already been called a Nazi by a fellow teacher. She's getting incredible feedback on social media and throughout this website of people. The left is just going to come after her like crazy. This is unbelievable. I'll continue reading. Amidst a worsening teacher shortage, saw the Shawnee Mission School District pay $3.5 million to out-of-state agencies to recruit and retain more educators. We're losing good teachers because of an imposed divisive rhetoric that does not inspire mutual goodwill. In my school alone, Shawnee Mission North, 3 teacher coaches left in March, and recently in one day, 4 more teachers told me they're contemplating leaving the profession after the school year. We're being manipulated and intimidated by a divisive woke ideology that is creating a culture of contempt and disrespect. Okay, so the district has spent, this is me talking, $3.5 million to out-of-state agencies to recruit and retain more educators. Well, what kind of educators do you think they're looking for? If this is what the district is doing, and they're spending $3.5 million to recruit, they're looking for more and more liberal teachers, and they want conservative teachers to quit. They want them out. They're recruiting out of state, and they're looking for more woke liberals to teach in the Shawnee Mission School District and indoctrinate students. I'll continue reading from the op-ed. Shawnee Mission Schools is fostering a toxic environment and requiring employees to attend diversity, equity, and inclusion training and workshops centered around critical race theory, including Black Lives Matter in the classroom and social justice in the classroom, using teachers' quote, white privilege and white supremacy and decolonizing our classrooms propaganda. There is repeated white shaming and a preoccupation with white people as the oppressor, including staff field trips with a focus on systemic racism. The white saviorism and virtue signaling at DEI meetings is so condescending that many minorities and other staff members have stopped attending. Our district is no longer academically focused. We're doing our students a disservice by allowing a biased curriculum to take over. If parents knew what goes on in our schools, the majority of parents would be appalled. At a staff meeting earlier this month, we were told we should refer to students by their preferred names and pronouns during the school day, but hide from the parents the fact that their minor children are transitioning at school. The district conceals the transgender policies from the public. They will not release the DEI presentations we are compelled to watch. Teachers who are simply doing their jobs are blindsided by false allegations of racism. Simple classroom management practices that were encouraged last year are grounds for accusations and discrimination this year. The students run the school and know there will likely be little accountability for any of their actions, while teachers are accused of discrimination, then written up for a policy that does not exist. The administration and its legal staff ignore board policy in order to fault a teacher for using the student's legal name or incorrect pronoun that matches the student's biological sex. There is no transparency. The district hides the alleged complaints. Threats of discipline regarding vague or non-existent policy are used to unfairly target teachers who do not go along with the woke ideology. There is strong anti-capitalism, anti-conservatism, and anti-American bias in the DEI curriculum, with an emphasis on white fragility and how to be anti-racist. I've been in workshops where teachers were discussing how to incorporate the 1619 Project into the English curriculum and how to use Orwell's book 1984 in class as propaganda against those of one political party. One teacher referred to me as a Nazi and fascist for disagreeing with her views. There is no ideological diversity in the school district. There is no substantial counter-argument allowed. It's wreaking havoc on morale. Shawnee Mission School District is right to support efforts to encourage respect for others in the classroom. But the current approach and the $400,000 critical race theory curriculum is having the opposite effect. Without a change, the teacher shortage will worsen, students will suffer even more, academic performance will further falter, and school culture will continue to decline. If we want to stop losing quality teachers, there needs to be change. We must advocate for a healthy partnership with intellectual diversity between and among educators, students, and parents. Voters, taxpayers, and parents, please recognize that this crisis will not stop unless people stand up to it and say, no. I am only one voice within the public school system, but there are many teachers and students who, like me, feel silenced and ostracized. We need to support one another. Sadrin Sullivan penned that. She's been teaching advanced placement English for 15 years at Shawnee Mission North. This is gaining traction. Liberals are unhinged. They're triggered. I promise you, at the Shawnee Mission School District offices, I think they're still over on Antioch. I could be wrong. Where the actual office is, at the offices of the Shawnee Mission School District this week, they are freaking panicked over this op-ed. It has gone national, and watch for people to start honing in on the Shawnee Mission School District and what they are doing in suburban Kansas City. Unfortunately, the maps of the district are such that winning back the board is not likely an option. It is not likely an option. Conservatives are a minority in that school district now. Prairie Village, Fairway, Mission, Westwood, some of those areas have been taken over by white liberals who have all the votes. And Roland Park, can name a lot of places. We know kind of where the pockets are of where these young, very young white liberals are moving in and buying the older houses and not really raising family, in many cases not having children. They just want to change the school district. This is a sad commentary on a once great school district that produced a lot of great Americans. We could go up and down the list, and it will blow you away of the people that have come out of that school district and the great things they've done for this great country. It really, truly would. I know what my education was like there, and it was outstanding. I got educated. I learned math, science, reading, all the basics. But I was also, in many ways, by many educators, taught how to survive, how to advance, how to excel. Teachers in those days taught you about individual exceptionalism. I've referred to one teacher at Shawnee Mission North High School that it was shocking to me my sophomore year when I heard this teacher say, hey, listen, don't worry about the other kid that's, smoking pot and making bad grades and he's kind of a loser, and, you should be happy for that person. That's one less person that's going to be hard for you to trample on while excelling in your life. He was appealing to the majority of the class. Let's say 30 kids were in this class. One would assume that 25 of the 30 kids in the class were like me. I want to be something. I want to do something with my life. I want to learn. I want to go out. I want to work, and I want to succeed. I believe that. I believe that 25 out of every 30 in every class that I was in high school was like that. And yes, there were 5 losers. I know many of them. They've been in and out of jail. You could see it early. You knew what it was going to be. But the overwhelming majority were inspired to go do this and were told by the educators, you do this on your own. We didn't know we were being taught American exceptionalism or conservatism. We were just told this is the only way that it works for you. Many of our parents were working class, not college educated. And while we loved our parents, most of us didn't grow up wanting to do what our parents did. I wasn't, inspired by my dad to go be in the concrete business or run a backhoe. That was not something I understood he did it. I knew he was great at it. I saw the finished product sometimes of things that he did. It was fine. And I knew how hard he worked. What I got from my dad, what inspired me from my dad was how freaking hard he worked and how important that was. And then he went every day. My dad never had a sick day. I don't ever once remember my dad staying home. Ever. Not ever. I mean, never. I don't ever once remember my dad staying home from work. My entire life. It's an era gone by. I was looking at a story yesterday. It was the anniversary of the opening of the Empire State Building. It opened on May 1st, 1931 or something. And I saw these pictures of these men working on these steel beams, however many stories that is in the air. And they're sitting there. There were no power tools. They're sitting there with wrenches, bolting down these beams, building this building. And it's unbelievable. 5 people fell and died, which is, I think, for 1930-ish, a remarkably low number, amazingly low number. But this is what those people did. And I don't think their kids were looking at them while they admired them for going to work. And I'm sure they got paid more money doing that dangerous job than a safer job. Their kids admired them for the effort, for the want to, for the greatness of building the tallest building in the world and an iconic American standard that sat for 40 years before there was a taller building than the Empire State Building. 40 years until it was topped. It was a marvel. And the kids were proud, but I don't think a 12-year-old boy is like, I want to be my dad up there on that beam. That isn't it. We were inspired by a work ethic, by a way of life to go do something, go be somebody. Don't bitch and moan and complain that everything's unfair and I look different than you, so I get treated unfairly and you have privilege and I'm this and I'm that. We never heard that as kids. It wasn't talked about. And we were coming out of an era after the civil rights legislation was passed in the 60s. We were coming out of an era where that should have been prevalent. That should have been top of mind. If any generation should have heard this in the schools over and over and over, it should have been mine. And it wasn't discussed. And we were a mostly white school, but we had black students and Hispanic students and Asian students. It wasn't like we didn't know what they were. We knew people that were different and dressed different and maybe had different sexual preferences, but we didn't talk about it. We didn't focus on it. We weren't taught it in the classroom. And the fact that we weren't taught any of this stuff in the classroom made us all equal. We shared a similar existence. We were all Shawnee Mission North Indians. We were all Kansas Cityans. We were all Americans. We didn't look at our differences. We didn't. My God, this is so bad to focus in on all this stuff. Just let kids be kids. Of course they can be mean to each other. You're never getting rid of that. You're never going to, in seventh grade, there's going to be bullies. And I'm not talking about physical. There's going to be verbal bullies. They're going to pick on kids. They're going to pick on the kids that haven't hit puberty yet. You don't have hair under your arms. You know, it's always going to happen. You're never changing that. These people are crazy in what they're doing. The more you lock in and you focus on this stuff, the worse it's going to get. And I'm not, seriously, I'm not one of these guys that, the good old days, it used to be this. No, just learn from what worked. Let's look throughout our country's history and let's identify what really worked, what really led to greatness, not only for this nation, but for individuals of both genders, all religions, all races. Let's look at what worked and say, this worked. Let's do this. Because this stuff isn't working and it's never been tried. And sometimes being progressive or wanting change for change's sake is a horrible idea. Horrible idea. Who among us doesn't love tradition in athletics, especially college athletics? We love our traditions. We listen to our little fight songs that are pretty stupid, to be honest. And the chants, they're dumb. They've been around 100 years. Of course they're dumb. But they're the tradition. And you keep it. And you don't just change for change's sake. And I'm not saying keep traditions as they apply to, race or gender or any of these things. I'm not saying that. I'm simply saying treat everyone equally and stop forcing this on people. I'm so proud of Sadrin Sullivan and what she wrote. If you want to read the entire thing, there's a couple more paragraphs I left out. It's at readlion.com, R-E-A-D, readlion.com. And you can see it there, and I'm going to try to get her on the podcast. Great stuff. KKHI is brought to you by many companies and sponsors that are great Americans and believe much of what I've just discussed here, including the Finch Knife Company. Now featuring the Hatfield series of knives, and the new Flint series is out. It debuted last Friday. The Finch Knife Company has a new pocket knife line called Flint. It's a 7.2-inch knife, 3-inch blade, satin finish, titanium clip, gorgeous knife. The Flint series available at finchknifeco.com or visit Shields or the Bullet Hole in Overland Park, Teague Tractor in Belton, finchknifeco.com. Keep life from getting dull. Amini's Galleria, we've ordered 4 new outdoor bar stools that will be in just a few weeks. We're very excited about them. It's the O.W. Lee brand, and they are not cheap, but they will last us forever. And I told Jessica, I said, if we ever retire somewhere warm, these bar stools are going to be going with us. They're going to be with us that long. They're going with us. I can promise you that. They are going with us. The furniture is that good at Amini's, 105th and Metcalf in Overland Park. Also, if you listen in St. Louis, Tulsa, or Oklahoma City to the podcast, Amini's is in those cities as well. Check them all out online at aminis.com, and don't forget all their game room, good stuff for guys. Pinball machines, golden tee, pool table, shuffleboard. Amini's is the home of the Copper Dome, 105th and Metcalf in Overland Park. Mention the podcast when you go in. And bstock.net, Dell Latitudes. I had a friend say he got one of these new business-grade laptops, an unbelievable deal, just $699. These are the bad boys from Dell, and they still have some of those available at bstock. They also have a great deal on some Samsung TVs. The TU7000, 65 inches, only $429. The 70 inches, $459. And this week's Doorbuster special, they have an 86-inch LG 4K television for $999. It's $1,400 plus everywhere else. That's crazy. Check it out at bstock.net, 14680 South Flaming Road in Olathe. Joe Biden has caved on the debt ceiling. I mean, this is all just ridiculous. We have a debt ceiling on our budget, and we're going to just blow through it. And they're trying to pin this on Congress, and they've done some polling and realized that Joe Biden can't pin anything on anyone else at this point. It's Joe Biden's presidency, and people blame the president. So last week, McCarthy and the Congress passed a $1.5 trillion raise of the debt ceiling as long as the student loans forgiveness program is done away with and the 87,000 new IRS agents are done away with and some other things that are coming out. We'll lift this to pay Social Security, Medicare, some of these other things, but this other stuff has to come out. This is how it works. We control the House. You don't. You're the president. And if we have to shut the government down, we just have to close the government because we hit the debt ceiling. I've got no problem with that, by the way. I think at this point, closing our government sounds like a great idea. I heard Glenn Beck say this week it was perfect. He gave the perfect description of our federal government. Unplug it, plug it back in. That's exactly right. You know, when something electronic goes bad, they say unplug it. Unplug it from the wall, wait 30 seconds, plug it back in. Okay, let's unplug this from the wall, and then let's plug it back in. Let's reset to factory original, which is what your computer does or anything else. It resets everything to the right middle ground factory original. That would be a great thing to do with our federal government right now. Unplug it, plug it back in, it goes back to factory reset, which is the Constitution. That's an unbelievably simple way to describe the problem with our federal government. But Joe Biden has been saying, this is not negotiable. We're raising the debt limit. Well, you can't do it without Congress, Joe. I don't know if you know how this works. You can't do it without Congress. And guess what? If the government stops and checks are slow and things start to change for America, they're going to blame you, not Kevin McCarthy. They know you. They don't know Kevin McCarthy. The name recognition alone between McCarthy and Biden must be 50, 60 points in polling difference. So Joe Biden picked up the phone and called Kevin McCarthy, who's on a trip to Israel this week, and said, I'd like to meet with you and the leaders of Congress on May 9th. So that's a week from today. Week from today, Joe Biden will be meeting on the debt ceiling raise and how that's going to work. And this, to me, what's McCarthy have to lose? I stand firm and say it is what it is. We passed it, toss it over to the Senate and sign it. Let's go. Let's make this happen. Because if the government closes and this stuff happens and we hit the ceiling, how is Kevin McCarthy going to get blamed? They can say it all day. This is what they do, but they're stupid when they do it. Karine Jean-Pierre was out there saying on Monday about the illegal alien in Texas, 4 times deported, that went crazy with an AR-15 and shot up the family next door, which was also a family of illegals. They apparently had lived together or lived next to each other for a couple of years without incident. And this crazy person went in and killed 5. And let's be honest. Let's talk about something nobody else is going to mention. You're never going to hear this anywhere else. If you're here illegally and you know how to get in and out of the country without being caught, which he's done, he's been deported, but he doesn't get caught at the border. He evaded all of the lawmen here by getting in the water. So that, he knows how to evade the police. They have no idea where this person is. My guess is this person's in Mexico right now, not in the United States. He's already found his way somehow into Mexico and knows how to get in and out, knows a place, knows a spot. Been in and out 5 times, folks. The deterrence of killing people, if you're evil and you're, sick and you don't mind killing other people, the deterrence is if I get caught, I'm going to jail the rest of my life, and that sucks. Or there may be a death penalty. This man was not afraid of that. So let's talk about the elephant in the room here. If you are here illegally, what's stopping you from committing crimes? You've already committed a crime coming in, so I'll kill 5 people that I'm pissed off because they told me to stop shooting my gun out of here on my gun range. I'm just going to go mow them down because I'm out of here anyway. I got nothing to live for here. It's not going so well. I'm going home, wherever home is. I'm going back. And it ain't hard for him to get back. Maybe he can't get back across. Maybe we catch him. That'd be great. Do we want to, at this point, do we really want to spend the money housing this man the rest of his life in jail and paying for all that? Or is it better if he's just gone? He's committed the crime. No U.S. citizen was hurt. This was alien on alien crime, illegal on illegal crime, right? So we're just creating these situations by our dangerous policies. And now my suspicion is the guy will just be out of the country. Karine Jean-Pierre goes to the podium on Monday and is asked about it and doesn't mention at any point or recognize that he's illegal, doesn't mention that the family that suffered the tragedy are here illegally. We're allowing people to come here with some false hope that this is going to be great for them, and some of the outcomes are really bad for these illegals. They get raped on the way. The children are abused, maybe used as child labor or slave labor. Karine Jean-Pierre says, well, he used a weapon of war, and we have to get with Congress and get rid of these weapons. Now, I want you to think, among all the stupid things you've heard, where this ranks. A 4-time deported illegal alien has an AR-15 in our country, which he clearly cannot get legally. Obviously cannot get this legally. And she wants Congress to do something about it. Okay, now exactly how is Congress going to pass something that catches illegal aliens buying illegal weapons on the street and using them? How is this going to help? These people are such a-holes. It's so fraudulent, and it's embarrassing to hear her talk like that. This was a weapon of war, and Congress has to act to get this off the street. That's what she turned this into. That's what the Bidens do. We're going to turn this into Republicans bad, guns evil. It's insane. 4 times deported, the man went nuts. And why does he even care? He killed these people, he killed them. Because he knows he can get back to wherever he came from. And they won't deport him. They're not going to send him back. God, these people are so disingenuous. I cannot believe how fraudulent they are in the things that they say. We got to get these weapons of war off the streets. Congress has to do this. We got to rally around this and get Congress to go and get rid of these guns. How in the world are you getting this guy to get rid of that gun? My God, these people. Unbelievable, really. Our final news topic is Honda. Honda Motors. Honda and Toyota have quite a reputation in the car industry. Honda doesn't sell many trucks or SUVs as a lot of other companies, but you know about the Honda Accord, the Honda Civic, and they're legendary vehicles for being good prices and insanely reliable, and they've just made their reputation on that. Honda has announced it's retooling 3 plants in the United States to build electric Hondas. Ooh, in the U.S. Now, most of our stuff's going overseas. We're doing cheaper labor. Honda's saying, we're going to build them right here. It'll be an all-American-made, U.S.-made Honda EVs. These will begin with cars. There will be a Honda model and an Acura model. They're going to build them right here in the U.S. And I think this is about to get insanely competitive for the electric market. Insanely. As more and more people get to a point where they go, you know what, I've said this about me and Jessica. We use our 2 cars for completely different things. We use mine for almost everything, and she uses hers for very little. It's nicer. It's better cared for. It's all those things. We'll throw the dog in my car and we don't really put the dog in her car, and we go do things. And it's my car's our lifestyle car. Hers is her little pride and joy. I think a lot of people live like that. And the one that is the pride and joy, there's no reason Jessica's car couldn't be electric, except they're more expensive right now. And we're not there yet, but I think people will get there. And I wonder what happens with the first companies in. Tesla is obviously famously the first company in, when all of a sudden Honda and Toyota and all these other makers are making cars for $20,000 less. And they wind up being more reliable because it's kind of what they do. This is going to get really, really, really interesting over the next, I would say, 10 years. We're going to have some pretty good results and ideas of where it's all headed over the next 10 years. Sports coming right up, brought to you by ticketsforless.com. I got a great email here from Ryan. He says, Dear Kevin, just bought my tickets for the greatest sporting event in America to see live, better than the Super Bowl, in person at least, the Kentucky Derby. And I used KKHI as my promo code on ticketsforless.com. I saved almost $100 on my tickets. Awesome. Thank you. I love the Derby. My grandmother used to watch every year with a full spread that included lemonade for me, mint juleps for her and her friends. I love that memory. And the most conservative and diverse crowd of any event I've ever been to. Love to hear your thoughts. If you watch the race, I bet, no pun intended, that hundreds of your listeners will attend Derby parties and more will watch Pure Americana. All right. He'd love an informal poll. He wants to hear from you. Ryan wants to hear from you if you're a Derby lover, if you have a Derby party, or if you go to a Derby party. I've been to many. I've been to Churchill Downs. We owned the sports radio station in Louisville when I was co-founder of Union Broadcasting, co-owner of Union Broadcasting. So I understand the culture there. The Kentucky Derby is awesome. It's incredible. It is cool. Jessica doesn't let me get as into it as I'd like to get into it because, again, this week they put down another horse. She hates the fact that racehorses get put down, but she loves the beauty of it. She watches the race. She hasn't banned it or anything like that. It just kills her that they have to put horses down. It's just terrible. My buddy Cato was on business this week in Lexington, Kentucky, and he went to some horse farm, and he was talking about a horse that's out there, some stud horse that's out there that's done like $100 million worth of studding. And this guy goes at it 3 times a day. Wow. There's a life for you. Here's 3 different ladies. We need you to do your work today, sir. Okay. Here's some of the best food ever and the prettiest pasture in Kentucky. Amazing industry. It really, truly is an amazing industry. Yes, the Kentucky Derby is Americana. And yes, Tickets for Less has tickets. And yes, Ryan saved almost $100 on his tickets by using the promo code KKHI. I'm trying real hard with every company we're working with, if possible, to use that as the promo code across the board to save you money. We're doing that in all kinds of places. If there is not a promo code online, when you walk into a place of business, like a Meanies or whatever that I mentioned earlier, mention KKHI, mention the podcast, and you become family. Any one of the places you go. Same thing with Buck Roofing. You log on to rbuckroofing.com, or if you call them, mention the podcast, say, I want my free roof inspection. They'll do it for you. They love working. These advertisers, these sponsors love working with you. I can't tell you how much feedback I get from them that say, these are our best customers. You're not complainers. You have money to pay for whatever you're buying. Which, if you run a business, that's a big thing. You can go, like, the guys up at Roberts Robinson, they're like, you can't believe how much time and effort you put into somebody to get them in a new vehicle, and then they can't qualify for it, or they can't afford it, and they can't get in it. They said, your listeners know exactly what they want. They've got the financing in line before they get here. They know whether they can afford it or not. Many of them are cash buyers. We love, love, love your listeners here at Roberts Robinson. Of course you do. Of course you do, because you folks are the best. Buck Roofing will do that free roof inspection this spring. 913-384-2680. You'll sleep well knowing Buck Roofing fixed the roof over your head. My Pillow has the promo code KKHI. They also have, this is insane, folks, the mattress topper. If you're not sleeping well, you should try this before buying anything else. If it is not the perfect solution, you're only out a couple $100 here. But it may just be the best thing you ever put on top of your traditional bed. And that is the My Pillow 2.0 mattress topper. Other mattress toppers from some of these other companies go for $1,500. This one has the cooling material. My Pillow 2.0 mattress toppers were priced at $365 with the promo code KKHI. It's just $219. $219 is where they start. Now, it's different sizes. It'd be more, I think, for the California King or whatever. But they start at just $219 with the promo code KKHI at mypillow.com. And don't forget mystore.com. There's all kinds of great conservatives companies there at mystore.com as well. It's a little bit like the KK list. Everybody's trying to find conservative vendors, businesses to do business with. The kklist.com is a great place to go. That's my site. Or you can go to mystore.com, and everything at mystore.com, if you buy it with the promo code KKHI, has a discount. Always remember the promo code KKHI, no matter where you go. These are good folks. Really good folks. On to sports. Patrick Mahomes and the wife went to the Met Gala. Oh, E! Online. E! is entertainment television. E! Online is their website. I read the recap of the gala, and Patrick and Brittany stunned in black and white at the Met Gala, which is where everybody shows up to do I don't know what. They were honoring Karl Lagerfeld, who's dead. Guy died 4 years ago. He was Chanel perfume or something? I don't know. I wouldn't accept an invitation to the Met Gala. It just seems absurd to me. It doesn't seem like a really great fit for Patrick Mahomes. He might have been the only conservative in the entire room, but they love celebrities and they love getting dressed up. They say it's fashion's biggest night, but they also say that about the Oscars. They say that about everything. So Patrick and the wife were there, and E! Online, writing the story about Patrick and Brittany, say Mahomes, of course, is a record-breaking quarterback. That's why he got invited. What do you think the record that he broke was that impressed the people at the Met Gala? And I don't think Patrick Mahomes knows he's being used this way. But if he read this account at E! Online, it sticks out like a sore thumb. It's the first thing they say about him. Patrick is here because he's the first black quarterback to ever win 2 Super Bowls. What? Okay, so he wins another one. He's the first black quarterback to win 3. First of all, if he's black, he's also white. He's just as white as he is black. His mother is white. His dad is black. So if you're going to call him black, you can also call him white. So if we're going to say that in the story, he's the first black quarterback to win Super Bowls, but the 5th white quarterback to win 2. I don't know what the number is. I'm guessing. I don't know what that number is. I assume there's been 5 that have won a pair, maybe more. Oh, that would be funny, wouldn't it, if they wrote it that? If they're being honest, that's the way you write it in the story. He's the first black quarterback to win 2 Super Bowls. He's the 6th white quarterback to win 2. Okay, because I don't know whether he's white or black. And what are his kids, by the way? We going to go ahead and label them at birth? Are those black kids? Or are they white kids? I don't know. I'm asking you. You keep going down generations. What exactly is it? I can't do the math. I can't figure this stuff out. Patrick Mahomes was on the red carpet. This is why I asked, why was he there? You're there because it'll probably be the only time he went. I don't know if he'd go again. We'll see. He's not Travis Kelce belongs to the Met Gala. Can you imagine what he'd have worn? That would have been wild. But they didn't. They wanted the black quarterback with 2 Super Bowls is what they wanted. Patrick Mahomes appeared on the red carpet with Bad Bunny, Dua Lipa, several Kardashians, Lizzo, Maluma, Doja Cat, and A$AP Rocky. Is that the least Kansas City thing you've ever heard? Is that the least White House, Texas thing you've ever heard? Where he's from? Bad Bunny. I mean, the thing about like music stars and celebrities, their nicknames aren't really that good. Bad Bunny? That sounds like a Sesame Street character. Do we have, somebody who gets in trouble a lot? We have to teach you the difference between good and bad. That's Bad Bunny over there. Good Bunny over here. Whatever. Not my thing. Small businesses in Kansas City are complaining about the NFL draft. They closed down a whole bunch of streets, as you know, and you had to walk forever to get there. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on this because if you didn't know this was coming, it's coming with the World Cup. It comes with all these things. Folks, it just falls under the heading, be skeptical. Be skeptical. When you hear about a $100 million impact the NFL draft is going to have in Kansas City, the first thing you should ask is, who does it impact? Does it help small businesses, mom and pops, businesses close to the draft? No, it didn't help them at all. Why? This whole thing was gated. It was a gated community. Once you're in, you're in. If you want to buy beer or food or whatever, you got to buy it from them. You can't buy it from local vendors. You're there. You're stuck. They sold out of beer, and Bud Light was the sponsor. There weren't a lot of other options. And they still sold out of beer. Who made all the money? Well, you know who made the money. The Chiefs made the money. The NFL made the money. Big corporations made the money. They don't set these things up to help small businesses and really do something in the community. There's no impact in Lee Summit or Parkville. There's none of that. So the small businesses said, over those 3 days, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, it was their worst 3 days of the year. Not even close. Like no customers. They had no customers because there was no access. You couldn't drive by there. You couldn't park. You couldn't get near there. Nobody was going shopping on their way to or from the draft. If you've got a little boutique shop along the route that's blocked off, your business was just dead for 3 days. They're devastated. They're like, we just got crushed because of the draft. Yes, that's what the NFL and the Chiefs will do. And if that's what we want to do for civic pride, it's what we do. We're proud to have the draft, whatever. It does not help. It's just like liberal government. It's for them. It's not for us. This at least was some sort of a feel-good community thing, and lots of people went and had a great time, and the Chiefs had a good draft, and that's all good. I feel terrible for these businesses, but they should have known, planned for it, and said, maybe we'll just go ahead and close our doors those days. They've blocked the streets. Nobody can get here except people that are wanting to go swill beer and watch football players get picked. And they're not coming in and buying a dress. No, they're just not. That's sad, but it is what it is. How'd you not know? The Royals are back home. Royals are back home. 10-game homestand. If they don't win some games on this one, I give up. Like the Royals should go 5-5 on this homestand. Baltimore, Oakland, and the White Sox. Here's your shot, boys. I mean, at this point, 4-6 on the homestand would be good. This is possibly, it's too early to say, but it has the look of potentially one of the handful of worst teams in the history of baseball, is what this is looking like. Wow, are the Royals bad. The Florida Panthers aren't bad. They're an NHL hockey team, and they're really good. And they figured something out. They're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs in the Eastern Conference semifinals. The Cardiac Cats is what they call the Florida Panthers. And they're playing the Toronto Maple Leafs. Eastern Conference semis. You want to go to a game in Florida? It's real simple. Log on and buy your tickets. U.S. residents only. That's right. U.S. residents only. Credit card billing address. We will not sell a ticket to anyone in any other country. United States residents only. I love this. They're playing Toronto. They don't want people in Canada to buy the tickets up and come down. Florida doesn't want the tourism. We got enough tourists. We got enough Canadians here. Here's the thing. A gazillion Canadians already Airbnb and stuff in the winter in Florida. Some of them own property there. So there's going to be plenty of Canadians that actually own property in Florida that are going to find their way into these games. But I appreciate the effort here. I like that. Americans only for the Florida Panthers because we're playing those Maple Leafs. Also from Canada, a sad story. One of the artists that my sister played a lot when I was a kid that I heard. I was very young when I heard The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald by Gordon Lightfoot and other songs by Gordon Lightfoot. He had a very unique voice, incredible talent as a songwriter. Wrote songs for Bob Dylan and many others along the way. Many, many famous songs he wrote that he didn't even really record or they weren't his. Gordon Lightfoot's from Canada. He has died at the age of 84 from natural causes. You know the song. I'm assuming you know the song, The Wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald. If you do not know the song, find it today and hit play and listen to that song. It is eerie. It's about a ship in the Great Lakes in a storm that goes down. I think they were pulling iron ore, and it goes down, and the entire crew dies. I think in the song it says the bell tolls 27 times for the wreck of the Edmund Fitzgerald because there were 27 crew on that ship. It is simply one of the greatest. I love songs that are stories. All right, I like following a good story in a song. And The Wreck of Edmund Fitzgerald is right up there. I will be playing it later, playing it loud in tribute to Gordon Lightfoot, who was a tremendous talent. He has died at the age of 84. All right, I mentioned Roberts Robinson, Chevrolet Buick GMC earlier. They have 0% financing available now on certain vehicles and low interest rates. I know interest rates keep going up, but GM is offering incentives now, and you can get those through robertsrobinson.com, even if you order your new car exactly like you like it. So jump on it. Cross Kitchens KC is proud to sponsor our Armed Forces Day with Friends in Service of Heroes Fish. We'll have much more on that coming up on Friday's podcast for you to know about the event coming up on May 20th. The Cross Kitchens is jumping all over. We love this, and we hope you'll come see us. Everybody's invited to Armed Forces Day. I'll give you more information on when and where and what we're doing. It's going to be a lot of fun. Cross Kitchens is on board with that. They'd love to work for you, whether it's a bathroom remodel, kitchen, or just countertops and flooring. They can do small jobs or big. Online, crosskitchenskc.com. And if you're seeing little critters running around your house, you need to call Advantage Termite and Pest Control. Don't try to do this yourself. These folks are so good. You'll have peace of mind. You'll never see anything ever, unless it's something dead right at the door. Like you got a sliding door. Oh, it tried to get in. That's where it died. Sorry. Advantage Termite and Pest Control, 913-768-8989, online at AdvantageTPC.com. All right, our final comes from wildlife biologists. I love mixing it up with our final story every day. Wildlife biologists locally here in Missouri and Kansas have been poking around in the Missouri and Kansas rivers looking for invasive carp that damage the ecosystem of both those rivers. As they were doing that this past week, they found a pallid sturgeon in the Kansas River. Now, the pallid sturgeon is listed as endangered by the feds, and it's listed in Kansas and Missouri as endangered. This happened in 2011, 12 years ago. It was listed for conservation in Missouri. When you find one, you have to tag it and release it or notify authorities. You can release it on your own if you got to get the fish back in the water and keep it alive, but they encourage you to tag them and release them. There are more of these pallid sturgeons in the Missouri and Mississippi rivers. They've known that. They can be confused with the shovel-nosed sturgeon. Most anglers wouldn't know the difference. But these wildlife biologists did something very rare when they found one in the Kansas River, which I'm no expert here, and it didn't say this in the story. I guess that means they're swimming upstream a little bit, right? If they're getting from the Missouri into the Kansas, they're going against the current, and they're filling up into the Kansas River, which is great news. That means the conservation of these fish is working. They were flabbergasted they found one in the Kansas River. They're very rare in the Missouri River. They're more likely to be closer to the Mississippi River, because as the basin goes and the river flows and goes downhill and gets to the Mississippi, that's where you have more pallid sturgeons. This to them, I'm not an expert. This is a big, big deal. They caught a pallid sturgeon in the Kansas River. That means there are more and more and more pallid sturgeons. I love stories like that. And I don't know one conservative, by the way, that doesn't want to treat the environment with respect, conservation of animals and wildlife. They may be hunters or fishermen or live in the outdoors or whatever. They all want this to be as good as we can be. I don't know who argues that. What you do is you argue at the point where it takes away from the human existence, the human way of life. Like going all the way and saying, don't eat meat. We can't kill animals at all. Well, no, we need to eat. We need to eat. So good story there. Appreciate that. And we appreciate what wildlife biologists do. You want to talk about when they rate people's jobs, how much job satisfaction? These people aren't getting rich. When they rate job satisfaction, career satisfaction, wildlife biologists, park rangers, all these things rate very, very high in job satisfaction. Very high. These are some of the happiest people among us that do those jobs. They're in the outdoors doing what they love to do, and great for them. That's awesome. Hey, I'd love to have you sign up this week as a patron at kkasissues.com. We'd love to have you jump on board as a patron. If not, hey, tell somebody about the podcast. Tell them it's at kkasissues.com. You can listen just by hitting play there. Show them how to do it on their iPhone or Samsung. Hit the like or follow button. We're getting close to 28,000 daily subscribers now. So we'd love to get that number up to 30,000 as quickly as possible to cross another benchmark. Please spread the word. Tell your friends that each and every day, right around 9:30 or so in the morning, there's another episode of Kevin Kietzman Has Issues.
Thanks for listening to Kevin Kietzman Has Issues, presented by Roberts Robinson Chevrolet Buick GMC. To get exclusive patrons-only podcasts, receive a weekly newsletter, and attend in-person patrons-only parties, visit kkhasissues.com and become a patron today. This has been a production of Crooked Tail Media Incorporated.